Hello everyone, welcome to tonight's Mitch Bailey's Recipe for Success. We are on day 3 of our candy making. I'm just here at the stove right now getting some things kind of prepped for what we're going to be making tonight. We're going to be making tonight an old-fashioned candy. It's one of the candies that you see out in the stores, well, when I was growing up. It was made by Brock's, and it's a nougat. And it had like little gummies in it. And after you see the finished product tonight, you'll be able to really recognize what I'm talking about here. Just making sure that my white chocolate here in my double boiler is melting okay. I'm going to take it off the boiler here for a few minutes while I talk to you, so that I can, as you can see, I've got it started here in the my little makeshift double boiler, the Purex dish. But this is a nougat. We're going to be doing nougats for a couple days and fudges this week. So this nougat, once you see the finished product, like I said, you'll recognize what we're making. But let me just I'll put the recipe up. But what I did in regards to this this white chocolate, I just put in the butter, unsalted butter, into the dish and melted it. It was 3 tablespoons of unsalted butter with 2 bags of white chocolate. And here's the white chocolate that I'm using tonight. Now, I have already prepped my little nougat candies, my little jellies that's going to go in my nougats candy. And I have them in here in a bowl. But those nougats come from dots. Actually, that's what's inside this candy. So the dots, you're going to have to cut them up. And let me tell you how I cut them up. I use a little thin, little paring knife, and I cut them up. Now, what I do after I get them cut up is I sprinkle them with powdered sugar. As you can see here, they are covered with powdered sugar. Because if you do not sprinkle powdered sugar on these, like this, you're going to have a sticky, globby mess, and it will not evenly distribute throughout your nougat that you're making. So, like I said, you'll need 2 boxes of those in order to make this, which makes 2 cups. 1 box makes 2 cups. And you'll need 10 ounces of marshmallow. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back on the stove, and I'm going to slowly add some of these marshmallows. But let me let you get over here so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to slowly add these marshmallows in. Now, I'm not going to dump all of these marshmallows in at one time, because if I did, it would not melt evenly, and I would have my chocolate to separate. So remember, I put in here the butter, 3 tablespoons of butter, and the 2 bags of white chocolate chips. And I'm just going to put those in there and let them slowly melt. So I always recommend to stir this constantly so that you can monitor how this is melting. And you don't really want it on a high heat. You just want your water in your little double boiler to be almost like a steam bath, touching the bottom of your other dish. You can't really find this candy much anymore. Brock's is the one that makes it the most, but I don't never see it in the stores anymore unless you buy it in a specialty shop. And as you can see, these marshmallows are kind of breaking down and getting hot and starting to melt. Now, someone asked me if you could use the marshmallow fluff that you get in a can in this recipe. I have never used it, and I would say that it would already be so melted that it may make the nougat not set up. It's probably got more sugar in that fluff. But as you can see, the marshmallows are kind of melting and getting broken down. So I'm going to add some more in here. I really like this candy. Every time I go and I find this candy in a specialty shop or somewhere, I always buy some of it. It just brings back childhood memories in regards to the candy growing up. And it's hard to find some of these candies now, especially some of the older candies. Now the Dots candy, you can find those at almost any store. I get mine at the Dollar Tree. Now I think I found those at Kroger. And as you can see, these marshmallows are melting. See how it takes a little time and it gets a nougat is a dry type candy. So if you put all those marshmallows in there at once, it would make it difficult for these marshmallows to melt. So you just add just a few at a time. And keep stirring this. I find that white chocolate is somewhat fragile as it relates to white dark chocolate or any kind of chocolate, brown chocolate. I find that you have to watch it, and what I mean by fragile is it kind of wants to separate more easily than the dark chocolates. So, and actually, white chocolate is really not a chocolate. A lot of individuals say that it's not a chocolate, but I call it a chocolate. It says it's white premium morsels on there, so it's evidently doesn't have any any kind of cocoa beans in it to make it into the chocolate family. And as you can see, those marshmallows are melting. Now, to make a nougat, the marshmallows is what gives that chocolate that, I call it, stick in your teeth type candy. This candy will stick in your teeth. Nougats are notorious for that. And any kind of caramel. And as you can see, I've incorporated most of that in there. So let me go ahead and put some more of these marshmallows in. Now, this is not something that you can just throw in there and walk away. You got to give it some TLC so that it will set up for you. And as it's melting and it gets thicker and thicker, it gets harder for you to stir. I've got this spatula here, and it's kind of a flimsy one. I should probably got a more rigid one. You're probably asking, okay, Mitch, looks like you just got a mess right now. Well, after this all gets melted in there, and put my last set of marshmallows in there. Like I said, add those slowly, because if you put them all in there, you will not get them to melt and you will burn this chocolate, or it'll separate on you. Now you can add some vanilla, peppermint flavoring to this if you want to make it into more of a holiday type candy. You know, if you're wanting to decorate it so that it would be a holiday candy. As you can see, that marshmallow is getting in there and incorporate it. And that chocolate is starting to firm up, almost like a fudge. But this is considered a nougat. And because it's considered a nougat, it is not in the fudge family. But I call it a fudge. Or it's considered sliced and prepared that way. Now, as you can see, this is almost all incorporated here now. Put you a little bit of elbow strength in there to get that turned. And as you can see, that's completely got those marshmallows all incorporated and melted in there. So I'm gonna take that off the heat and push this over to the side and bring you over here and let you see what I've got here. As you can see, it's all mixed up. And now it's time to put these in. But let me show you what you're going to put those in. You're going to take an 8x8 pan here, and you're going to spray it. Now always line it, and I always use parchment paper and a cooking spray. And I spray this because it'll allow it to release. You could probably use butter if you wanted to line it with butter. But let me just show you these little tips here. I'll use those little clips, and it holds your parchment paper in. This is something that you can buy over in the stationery department or the office supplies to hold your parchment paper. And you can actually put those in the oven. So let me show you what we're going to do with these now. Now, this is, as you can see, there's that butter that we put in there is risen to the top of that. It's almost like it's got a buttery film on top of it. So this is the time where you can get your kids in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to incorporate these little dots in here. Let me get a spoon. I think sometimes a spoon does better. But you're just going to stir those around in there. And as you can see, that powdered sugar is starting to melt. And they're glossy. They're back to their original state. And this candy is getting set up. So let's go ahead and transfer it over to our dish, our pan. Let me get you over here and show you what we need to do. And as you can see, I've got it in the little dish here. The little metal pan. And you're just going to press it into its shape. And as you press it, that butter and that oil in that chocolate, get this out of the way here so that you can see it, is going to start forming to the top. And that is it. Use your hands to press it down in there. And this is going to set up. I would put it in the refrigerator and let it set up overnight. And it will firm up really good in that butter. And in the morning, you can just pop it out of the pan and slice it. And that is your nougat candy. So, hope you try this nougat and enjoy it. It'll bring back some fond memories of when you were growing up. You all have a great evening. Talk to you soon.